Hello, my name's George. Welcome to the inside of the shop and welcome to the Watersports Centre. Today we're going to talk about another product, and that product is going to be the Ozone Contact V4. That's the bar I have in front of me. There are two other bars that are relevant to this kind of video. That is the wake style bar and the compact bar. They all really come off the same formula, it's just different sizings. So let's get that out of the way first. Wake style bar, larger loop, shorter bar throw. Compact bar, smaller loop, shorter bar throw. So it's just the loop that changes, and you'll find that the wake style, obviously that's for the amp and things like that, the kind of sea kites and the unhookers. And then you have, or freestylers I should say, and the compact is for people, small people, shorter arms, and make sure that that bar throw doesn't get out of the way. It's a perfect bar for kids, and like I said, it's been really popular. All of those bars you can buy in any of the 4 sizes that they do. It's 38, which often goes with the wake style bar. We use it in our school, where it's great for those really kind of stronger wind day 1 sessions on the 38, 4-meter kite, etc. And then 45, we kind of ship that with anything up to about 8-meter, and then 9 meters kind of the crossover point. 10-meter and up, you're going to be on the 50-centimeter bar, and then kind of 14 and above, so big alphas, big cats or zephyrs, is going to be the 55-centimeter bar. That's that whole range here. So, like what we always like to start in a bar video is the quick release. Quick release, obviously very important. It's your safety method. Have a little look at that. Really nice and easy to use. Pops open, super simple, and it's a seatbelt quick release. Okay, so in here, just here, you're going to pop this end back in, just like you click in a seatbelt, hence the name, and we are done. I'm just going to release that one more time to get this out of the way. Donkey Dick, easy, simple to use, mid stiffness. I've had some that are relatively difficult. I've had some that are easier to go in and out than this. I think this sits nicely in the middle. Safety, it's always nice to have a integrated safety that comes through the chicken loop. I don't think you really see that, not in any bar today, it's basically all over. But having the option to pop it up if you are an unhooker or a freestyler, then that's just another little added feature. You're not having to feed a chicken loop, a carabiner of a leash around it to make it work. And for me, even free riding, when I'm not even planning on unhooking, I always just chuck this system up, because actually if I'm not planning on hooking, the release works exactly the same anyway, and I find it tidies it up a little bit. With any bar like this, where you are using a bungeed safety line, if you do have a certain amount of depower on, because it runs all the way through the bar down here, you'll find that this will start to dangle, hence why I put it on there. Not recommending people put this stuff on time, but that is what I personally do. Coming through, really nice swivel. This is, like I said, this is really loose swivel. It's not something that is ever impedes when you're rotating. I find it always flushes, and I don't think they get too stiff, especially when sand and general water sports activities gets in the way. Coming off that, we're into a nice solid PU tube. One bit of advice with the Ozone bar, we do use these a lot in our school, and I will say, just make sure you wrap the PU tube outside the bar. So whenever you're wrapping it up, pull this out first and wrap the whole thing. If you really do pinch down on these when folding up and leave them for a long period of time, you can cause them to crack. So just know that if you are thinking of buying one of these bars, whenever you wrap them away, keep it apart. Then safety line running alongside the PU tube. For me, it's good and bad, right? This has pluses and negatives. One of the key things is you can see the wear on your safety line, which is a big plus, which is something you don't get to see when they're running through the bar, okay? But you obviously do get to see any wear, and you can keep on top of it. Which for me, like I said, it's half and half. I would prefer it to be tucked away. However, I do appreciate the easy to maintain nature of and around a kind of side-by-side system. Coming into the bar, thicker bar, okay? I'd say arguably Ozone is one of the thickest bars on the market right now. that comes down to preference. I've never been someone who's really picky about the width of my bar. I've always kind of got on with whatever it is. The only thing to note is the thinner the bar, the more comfortable it is in the winter. Whenever you're riding gloves, you do have that extra diameter then put onto the bar, and I find that the thicker the bar, the more you may get that forearm cramp. I would like the bar to be much more clear, and I've always found this a little bit difficult on the Ozone bar. Maybe I'm just not very bright, but I don't think the colours in Ocean, I always look for red when I'm flying kites, so I actually find myself looking at the leader line on this Ozone bar, and I haven't spent enough time to associate the blue with right. I'm always looking to locate my left hand. The first bar I used for about 8-9 years of my career was bright orange. I know it's not red, but it was very easy just to kind of locate and grab. So I think that's something they have updated in a new bar release, which is coming soon, and I'm looking forward to kind of looking back at this video and seeing where they've come with a contact or weight style or compact V5. Coming up out of this, we're into our floats. Nice solid floats, no big stress here, and I've said this to a lot of people, maybe not online yet, but the softer this is, sometimes it can feel a bit less premium, because that kind of rigidity in a bar is always something that inspires confidence. With the Ozone bar, it's actually very loose, which makes sure you get maximum feel. However, it is actually still feels very rigid and a good solid foam bar end. As we are at the end of the bars, nice and simple, as we mentioned with the sizes earlier, you have no size adjustment. So one thing to consider when you are buying a set of kites with Ozone, you are going to be buying different sized bars. This is good and bad. Again, my first set of kites were always different size. You get better bar feel. I always prefer the bullet to be at the end of the bar. I think it gives you better feedback. I've never enjoyed flying bars on the inside setting, but it does give the everyday kiter a little bit more flexibility to have one bar and 3 or 4 kites. However, if we were all able to spend as much as we liked on equipment, I'd always recommend 2 bars at least, so that you actually split your wear, and by the time your kites come to the end of your cycle, your bars, if you have 2, aren't going to be in a much less sellable condition. So positive and negative there. Coming past that point, really simple, easy line adjustment. You see it? I'm still learning. So you can see it in here. Pulling these out isn't too difficult at all, as I've just demonstrated. Good face. Okay, you've got your line adjustments in there for your trim. You pull that back through, and then nice, easy bungees. They loop over really nicely. Not a single complaint about any of that. These sit away nicely, they don't perish, and when you're coming over the top, done, sorted, and they also tuck away really nicely. Coming out the end of the bar, thicker leader line into a little stopper here. Well, it's not a stopper, it's a relaunch ball, which again I think is nice, and especially from experience teaching on this bar, gives a really clear and concise place for someone to grab. However, I always do recommend the end of the floats a little bit more comfortable and a bit less snappy to relaunch. Again, the key thing with the Ozone bar is nothing's there if it doesn't need to be. You get to see all of the wear areas, and it makes it all nice and clean and simple. Coming up into the depower line, we've already discussed the PU tube. We come into a cleat. This is a really simple, straightforward cleat option. Again, everything exposed with your safety, with your depower option, so that you can get a really good idea of what's going on. And actually you have a lot more depower than this, because this is bungee, right? So that will sit a lot larger when you're flying. And again, from experience, replacing all that's actually quite straightforward. Coming onto the top here, you then have your splitter. Splitter into a stopper ball, straight up to the kite. Nice and easy. Only query with this end of the bar, over a long period of use, this will wear, and when it wears, it looks a bit tatty, so I will then just cut it off. I think that's been updated in the V5 to be removed, because it doesn't actually do anything apart from add a element of cleanness, because it covers up the metal part. As a general rule, final part, this section here, when we're talking about these splitters, what you always need to do, the way they sit, is you need to make sure this is always set straight when you ever tune your bar, okay? Because if you do leave this for a long period of time, because of the way the bungee sits and this line will slowly tighten up, you're gonna get a kite that sits a little bit off. So just check these two front lines for any stretch or kind of over usage, because as you will, you'll be able to see that that can come back to straight. To summarize, Contact V4 and the other two bars we've discussed, I don't think anywhere Ozone overcomplicate this bar, and that's actually a massive compliment. I think you could give this to any kite surfer in the market and they could operate it. I think it's really clear where your safety's going. I think it's got a very standardized depower system. There's nothing that doesn't need to be here to fly and to ride. One of the most enjoyable bars on the market. It's a no frills, but all thrills bar. So yeah, what I just want to say, finalizing, solid, comfortable, reliable, no faff bar. You can't go wrong with the Ozone Contact V4, compact or wake style. Check it out, demo's available, and I will see you in another video. Have a great day. Thank you for tuning in to the Watersports Centre.